What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Gobbler Effect, Season 3, Episode number 5 here on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. My name is Chris Pierce, joined once again by my co-host and Virginia Tech men's ice hockey coach, Joey Mullen, as well as this week's special guest, Hokies freshman forward Justin D'Antona joins the show. Gentlemen, as always, before we get started, how are we both doing this fine week?
Good.
Good. Well, let's...
I'm
Wow.
doing,
Okay. A little lag. Here we good?
yeah, yeah.
No worries, but let's just kick things off. Talk about what happened last week, as we always do. A big weekend for you guys, sweeping the UNC Tar Heels. A big weekend, obviously, playing M1 competition. You guys struggled against NC State before, but now playing at UNC. Another type of that kind of on the same level team. You guys sweep left them. So, Coach, I'm going to start with you. What were your overall takes from this past weekend?
I thought we were really good majority of both games. Saturday was a better full 60-minute effort. I thought Friday we kind of took our foot off the gas going into the third and let them get back in it. And when you get to overtime, it's one of those things. It's one fluky shot either way can go in the net. Luckily, it went our way because I thought we played well enough the first two periods to win that game. So glad it worked out that way. Another couple games against D1 teams. Just kind of setting ourselves up for the this little grind of a road stretch here with some league games. So we should be in a good spot.
Yeah, let's kind of start with Friday's game against UNC. You guys obviously had a 2-1 lead going into that third period, or was 2-0. I
3-1. Yeah.
3-1. Yeah, sorry, lost track. But UNC, outshot you guys 15-3 and tying the game up. Had a huge period. What did you see? What went wrong with you guys in that third period that you thought, UNC really took advantage of?
I think they just started went to a simpler game plan and just started throwing everything deep, getting really physical on their forecheck and made it a little hard for us to get out of our zone. But I also thought that we kind of came out in the third like, we got this. It's not no big deal. Kind of quit what we were doing and let them get some momentum, a few shifts in a row, and then once they get that second goal, all right, they're juiced up, they're ready to go. I don't think any of the goals were bad goals. I mean, their first goal of the game was a fluke play off of the stanchion that popped right to a guy in the middle of the net 2 minutes in. So it was one of those games. I thought we skated really well the first 40 minutes. Our forecheck was good, our power play was good, our PK was good till the third, and we just kind of like mailed in the third period. And luckily, Garlock made a great play at the blue line, beat the man down the ice on a breakaway and put it in the net.
Yeah, I mean, luckily you guys were able to stay in that game, force it to overtime, Ian Key really providing the help for you guys on the defensive end. But, going along that, you guys, did have, on the offensive side, an injury to Cam. And, how were you guys able to manage through that, especially in the overtime, not having, one of your fastest skaters on the ice in a critical moment like that?
I mean, the nice thing with this year's team is we're so deep. So we probably have 8 to 10 guys that we have no worries throwing out there in an overtime situation, especially on the front end. And like we've already been in that situation before. We played an overtime game at Liberty early in the year, so we're kind of familiar with what was going on, the situation, how we wanted to play it. Happened to be, I think, the third shift for us on the ice. Garlock put it away, so you play the guys that are comfortable in overtime that have played it more than their first time. So Garlock's been in plenty of those spots, like Doozy. I thought Gavin now did a good job. Austin Hearn and Tulo were always good together in overtime. So we felt pretty comfortable going into it. If we just pushed the pace on them a little bit, that we would get it done.
Yeah. And coach, I want to ask Justin, you can also pop in if you want on this question, but as you mentioned, no, we've already seen it, once already with the team going the extra time and the shootout loss of Liberty in that first game against Liberty at home. You also were really close to the end in the final minute of you scoring. Would you say your team's identity is more, shown through, the late stages of the game and, being clutch and being able to deliver in those high pressure moments?
I think we learned a lot from last year, especially late in the season, that tough overtime loss to Ohio. It's a different schedule for us this year. There's not going to be a lot of those games that we're winning 10, 11 to 2 or 9 to 1 or 8 nothing. I don't think there's going to be a ton of those. So playing these close games against good competition early in the year is just going to set us up for the long run. So you're going to be comfortable in it. You're not going to tighten up in a late game in a game in a tight game. Same thing last night.
And just on a player's viewpoint,
Yeah.
and your first couple of games, again, this is your first season and you're witnessing all this. What would you say is, the team's identity, through the first 5 or 6 games of the season so far?
Yeah. So like something that I've noticed, especially like being in the locker room, that there hasn't been a there hasn't been a time where we've been like out of a game. And anytime we do get down, it's always like, don't quit, like just keep going and keep going. And I feel like we've seen it in a couple of games so far that we get down late or it's a tight game and we find a way to pull away and win.
Mm. And how much would you say, is that of the veteran presence in the locker room, the guys who are experienced in these kind of situations compared to, and the freshmen who are, just coming into the league?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely a lot of older presence in the locker room. Like those are the guys that are getting everybody ready for the game and keeping everybody involved in the game. But I feel like us freshmen have been like very good with like listening to what they've said because they're the ones with the experience.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of now shift gears to Saturday's game. Justin, I know a big milestone for you getting your first career goal, first career points. You had two yesterday against UNC. Just talk about that night for you in general, seeing that puck go in the net uh, off of that shot. I mean, what was that moment like for you?
It was great. So a couple shifts before that, I had a breakaway and ended up hitting the post on my backhand. So I was kind of frustrated about that, but then I went out. I think it was my next shift actually. I went out there. Jackson had the puck at the top of the circles, and he kind of just shot it on net. And I got a stick on it, and it went in. So that was a great feeling. Yeah,
Coach, obviously you seeing that. I mean, that has to be a great moment for you. I know I've heard it on the broadcast multiple times about, Kyle saying that, you've said that, the guys just once that puck goes in the net off of these guys, it's gonna start rolling in and they're gonna keep on going. Just seeing that, do you think that's, the right, let me rephrase. Do you think, that's gonna continue to happen with this team?
Oh, I mean, definitely. Look at a kid like Gavin now comes out early in the season, scores in his first game, I think it was, and he's been putting up points every game. I think you see like guys like Justin that we didn't really know much about, but just jumped out so much in tryouts, and he's really just worked himself in a good spot to play a lot of games this year. Like the first one goes in, now the monkey's off your back. You don't grip your stick as tight. You're not like pressing for it. Like there's a couple of guys, and I do a lot more of the one-on-one coaching on the bench, and it's just like Jackson DeVivo's had all kinds of chances. Like once he gets this first one, like it's going to be game on for him. I feel like West has been the same way. Like these guys are just pushing so hard to get that first one and get it out of the way. Then they just like go nuts. And then you saw it last year with Austin Hearn, the first like 5 or 6 games, like all over the net, couldn't get out by one. The first goal he scores in his career is banked off of his skates and in the net. And then after that, he runs off like a 20 plus point season. So I think you'll see a lot more depth scoring going forward once these guys all start putting them in the net. And we're glad Justin got the monkey off his back now. So waiting on West and a couple of these defensemen to get one and two.
Yeah. And Justin, obviously this is a big change for you, coming into collegiate hockey and playing, right away against these tough M1 teams. What has the transition been like for you, going from, previous before coming to Tech, playing hockey to now, being on the team and playing this level of competition?
yeah. So I'm from Massachusetts, so I feel like my high school hockey is like it was a similar skill level. It's definitely better now. The one thing that I was like quickly made aware of is how much bigger some of these guys are being in their mid 20s. So that was the biggest thing for me. Like my first game against Liberty, I was like, wow, like some of these kids can really hit me hard. So yeah, that was the biggest thing for me. Also, uh, playing with older guys, I feel like was a little bit different experience for me because my last year of high school, I was playing with two freshmen, so I was the older guy on the team, and now it's the opposite, which is something also that I've gotten used to.
And has now that you've gotten your first couple points, do you think now everything is gonna be like, oh, I know how to like get into certain spots? You know, it's gonna come, the game is gonna come more easier to you. Do you feel like that's more gonna be what we're gonna be expecting out of you, you know, as the season rolls on?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I feel like I felt a lot more loose after I got that first goal, and yeah, I definitely think that can continue for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, let's kind of shift gears now to, you know, looking ahead in the season. We have, you know, a road trip coming. You guys had four straight games at home, you know, a little homestand, but now you're going back on the road and it's an important road trip, you know, going to West Virginia. You have a lot of things to cover here. We got your first divisional games, you know, in the ACCHL, you know, playing West Virginia. They're them coming up from the elite division now to the Premier Division. You got a lot at stake there. You got a lot at stake being a rivalry game, you know, with the Mountaineers. There have been a lot of chippiness, you know, the last few matchups you guys have played against each other. So, Coach, I'm going to start with you on this weekend. How important is it for the Hokies to go 2-0 against the Mountaineers?
I mean, it's huge. It sets up the whole rest of our like division play. Like to get jump out to a 2-0 start, put those points on the board early. It's always big. It's always beneficial to be in that number one or number two spot in the league to get a good matchup going into the first round of the playoffs. There's a lot of good teams this year. High Point's off to a good start. Penn State's off to a good start. I think Maryland's had a pretty good start this year. Ryder and Rowan have had better starts than they did last year, so the teams are better. With West Virginia, they haven't probably had the start that they envisioned this year, so they're definitely hungry, looking for some wins, and they would love to take a chunk out of us after what happened last year. So if we don't show up ready to play on Friday, then it could be a long weekend. If we show up ready to play Friday and Saturday, then it could be a really good weekend for us.
Yeah, obviously last year is different than this year. You guys kind of had a gap between you guys last year, but you know, previous year before that it was a lot closer, you know, between the two teams and how they battled. Are you taking anything from what you guys accomplished last year against the Mountaineers, you know, in those games, and you know, kind of game planning it this upcoming weekend against them?
I mean, it's so hard to take from last year to this year because teams change so much. There's so much up and down and all kinds of stuff like that. I think if we just play our game, put pucks in deep, put pressure on them, be in their face for full 60 minutes, then I think it might be hard for them to skate with us with as deep as we are this year. So that's going to be our game plan going into this weekend.
Yeah, and Justin, for you guys, you know, obviously a little further of a trip, you know, than Liberty. You know, you're leaving out of state, you're going to West Virginia, a rival. What are your expectations, you know, from, you know, not only like an individual standpoint, but as a collective, a team standpoint, and, you know, getting the job done this weekend?
Yeah, so just like Coach said, I think playing a full game is the best thing that we can do. And we need to, especially last week, and I felt like we had a ton of penalties that we shouldn't have taken. And I feel like that put us in spots where we didn't want to be. So I think staying out of the box and playing a whole game is how we're gonna end up with two wins this weekend.
Mhm. And obviously, we all know hockey's a really chippy game, you know, between the both sides. But we've seen it the last two games, three games against UNC and NC State, you know, teams who we've faced very frequently, how, you know, things can get a little out of hand. And I know we talked about in the past, we talked about how, you know, we need to stay, you know, out of the penalty box and stay mentally focused. But how do you see that, you know, going into this weekend and playing a critical role in how you guys are going to succeed against the Mountaineers?
Yeah, so I definitely think like playing full strength. Uh, I don't think that. Well, when we're playing full strength, I think um, that it's hard for a lot of teams to keep up with us, and especially like if we get on power plays, then our ability to score is really good. So I think just being able to eliminate those unnecessary penalties will be huge in the long run.
Obviously, you guys have a really good offense and you guys have a really good collective group, in all three phases. Talk about, your guys' defense. I know you're on the offensive side, but what you've seen from the defense, whether it be, the younger guys or the older guys, how much they really backed up the offense and supported them, including the goaltenders, Ian and Tucker, and how they really helped this team be where they're at this season.
Yeah, I definitely think that our goaltending has been very good this year. They've kept us in a lot of close games, like especially in the first Liberty series, they played very well and kept a lot of shots. They kept a lot of shots out that most goalies would have let in. But also our defensemen, I feel like they have a ton of offensive skill that help us, like they help jump into the play, and then it creates odd man rushes, which are very, very important to create scoring opportunities. So, and also there hasn't been many times where you just watch a defenseman get burned. Like they stay in the play and they do a great job at keeping everyone out of the center of the ice.
Well, last question for you guys. I mean, even though it's a short road trip, this is the turnover to a new month, obviously October with, the first month of the season, come and gone. What is your overall, take of what, you guys have done throughout the first month of the season now being, 3-1-1 heading into the month of October? I'll get, Coach, if you want to go first, then Justin, just each of your takes of, how the team performed so far.
I mean, I thought we've had a really good start. Put a way tougher first month of the schedule than we have in the past few years, and to get the same results as last year. Maybe not the same style points, but the same results. It's always good. I think it'll be huge for us going forward, especially into the first two league games, which um, it's a big weekend. So I think playing those intense, close games will definitely set us up for success in our division, going into the playoffs, going into the outdoor special games, all that stuff. Like we've been in a spot where we can play tight games and we win a lot of tight games. So I mean, the second Liberty game goes to a shootout. It's a toss up at that point. I mean, the only game where we really got beat was NC State. And I don't think they were good. Don't get me wrong, they were good, but I don't think 5-1 reflected the way the game was played. So other than that, I mean, we just come out and play a full 60. We can skate with anybody.
And
Justin,
yeah,
yeah.
for me, I think that building momentum's a huge thing. Like, especially getting these two wins this weekend, it's very easy to build off of that than coming off of a loss. So I think just keeping our momentum and not getting too down if we do end up losing a game, and being able to come out every single game and give it a full 60 minutes is what we need to do throughout the rest of the year.
Well, we'll see what happens this weekend when you guys travel up to face the West Virginia Mountaineers. But that'll do it for episode number 5 of the Gobbler Effect here on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. Thank you all for tuning in and watching all season long. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe on the channel here, as well as click the notification bell for live stream and content updates this season. Coach Mullen, Justin, thank you both for joining us. The Hokies will hit the road this weekend as they travel to West Virginia to take on the Mountaineers both Friday and Saturday night. You can catch both games on the Mountaineer Hockey Network right here on YouTube. But until we meet again next time, go Hokies.